All right, I brought props. Okay, you're not going to believe this for this show today. Why am I carrying McDonald's around? Something that I generally don't usually eat, even though those fries are really great. Well, Michael Bryant.
I don't know. I can't wait to find out. Mr. Brian Walsh trial today, day 8. The Commonwealth has rested. What does that mean for tomorrow? We are going to talk about it here at Justice Serve TV. Welcome.
Justice, where are you? Michael and Linda are here.
Love you, Linda.
World is justice. Will we ever find justice?
The courthouse the other day in the hallway, you're singing "Oh Happy Day."
Justice when we see it. To be and down, may I lead the way. Hoping justice will win the day. Listener clues, finding justice where we can. Join us now, we're on the run. Justice is waiting, we'll see it done.
Hey everyone, Michael Bryant is in the mobile studio. Hence, we have been losing him with our Starlink because we just taped a couple members episodes. So there he is. He's coming back with it. So that's why. Whoa, he's right. But that's okay. I mean, look at him.
I feel like we turned upside down.
He's in the dark. He's absolutely in the dark. Hello, everybody. Share the picture. Hit that like, subscribe, share, notify button. Actually, we think we possibly have a new picture that we may use later on because, as I said, we just did a couple member episodes, membership only episodes that will then air for all of you on the weekend. And let me just put this up. Let me add this to the stage. That was how we took Michael because he was frozen there for about 10 minutes in a very dapper photograph.
Could have been much worse. It could have been much worse.
And
just now, as the open was coming on, the whole computer table that I've got set up here just fell right over. So
you've obviously been hanging around me today. I began with a little bit of a fire in the wires and behind my brand new dryer.
Oh gosh!
Then my
mobile studio was too mobile.
Grandmother died, so you've been hanging. I mean, obviously, I'm giving those vibes across. God rest her soul for Taylor's grandmother, Taylor Anthony. Grandmother. Okay, so I would just say that things happen every day to people, and our mobile studio falling over is probably terrible for the timing, but in the scheme of things, it's okay. Yeah, now, I actually, do you have control of Rip and Reads?
Oh my gosh, you're really asking for it, aren't you?
I really am. Do you have the control?
Whoa, hello.
Hello.
Are you a Jets fan?
The Jets do put bags over the head. Matter of fact, I do have one. But this was what is this? What bag is this? Do I have over my head?
That looks like Mickey D's to me.
Yeah, McDonald's. I actually am going to probably have to send it to you for a cost because it is props for the show. Although I did eat some of it, I have to confess, even though I shouldn't have.
Eating the props.
Eating the props. This was McDonald's, Mickey D's. And the reason why it was interesting, because you were talking about it yesterday, this rip and read I have on the Walshe case, because of the DNA experts were doing, they 4 people to do steps 1 and 2, or 1 and 3, and 2 and 4.
That's right.
Right. And so that's how Mickey D's work. Well, then today when I was looking on the Mangione, which we're going to do a whole episode hopefully on when they finish this hearing on the search warrant, that apparently it came to light, if I have read what's happening in court right, and I wasn't down in the courtroom, that the reason why there may be no video of the cops finding the gun is because Mickey D's has gotten pressed yesterday in Walshe with you, and today in Luigi Mangione's trial, because when they were transferring him from car to car so he could have his McDonald's, which that seems to be a thing, right? That's when they found the gun, and the body cameras are off in the transfer from car to car. How convenient.
How convenient. It just, these things that just seem like could that be by accident? Was there something going on there that they didn't want? Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, time for you to mute yourself. Mute.
Guess where I am. Stand by. And there they go.
Yeah, there you go. Actually, I haven't had McDonald's in years either. I bought it today for the prop, and also because my doctor said, you're not eating enough. And I'm a little busy. I'm running from here. I'm running to trial. I'm running back here. I don't have time for food. I have time to feed Tubi. My poor husband is getting DoorDash a lot. I'm a big DoorDash. I should get a discount for DoorDash these days. But so I decided, okay, maybe I'll have a little Mickey D's. Haven't had in a while, and then I can have the bags as props. So I kind of merged the two. I had DoorDash, merging it. So
they DoorDashed your Mickey D's, got it. And for those who were not around yesterday during the Walshe trial, I likened the lab rats to, hey, there's another emergency vehicle coming. Looks like engine number 4, one of my favorites. There it goes. I think there's another one coming too. This town, it's like it's up in flames at all times with the number of rescue calls on a given day. They even had to stop in court today twice. Witnesses on the stand and like, okay, hold on, let's wait. Part of the reason for that?
No, but I've got a new defense for the McAlberts why no one came out of the lawn, because there's so many sirens all the time that there was nothing to see there.
And of course, we learned in that trial that they only use these sirens for traffic avoidance. So that morning at 5:36 in the morning, they didn't need it because there's no traffic. So all they had on were the lights. Now we have the rescue.
So why? You were going to tell us why. So I left our audience hanging.
In the courtroom, as lovely as it may be, there is way too much heat. And so on the street side of the courtroom, I mentioned this today, because there's only about 3 or 4 of us on that side. And the main reason is because the windows are open to regulate the heat. So, it's 35 degrees out. And when a gust comes rushing through there, it just blows you right off the pews. Yeah. But that's how they control the heat. So,
well, I wish I had that when I was in Suffolk with Hernandez, because the way the court was facing, the sun just beamed in these beautiful windows and made the judge look like God up on the bench, because there was huge windows. But it was so hot every single day. You wanted to be, you felt you wanted your beach umbrella. It was just so hot.
I'm guessing
it was in the middle of the winter.
Was that an old courtroom? Old courthouse?
Yeah, it's an old health courthouse.
Yeah, so they've got all of them have, Dedham, but and you can hear. I think probably even on the feed, you can hear when the groaning radiators start kicking in, and it's loud. It's like clank, clank, and so that's part of the charm of an older courthouse. But
you are a voice actor. What did you just do again? Could you do that again? The radiator sound,
clank, clank. And that's why all of these vehicles streaming by are even more annoying, because the window's open to help.
Isn't that interesting? That should be a Jeopardy question.
I feel like I'm in Jeopardy. So today, Commonwealth rested. We heard yesterday from Judge Frenier that
the Walshe case. We're now switched to the Walshe case. Yes,
we're back to the Walshe case, which was my reference to the McDonald's from yesterday, because so many of these lab rats were like somebody running the fry station, somebody running the burger, somebody toasting buns, somebody doing condiments. Not one of them did everything, and it just seemed very odd to me. So kind
of like medical care these days. Okay, you go here to here, you go here to here. You remember when you used to have a doctor?
Yeah, exactly. Do you actually see a doctor? Or do you see a physician's assistant? So that was the McDonald's reference. Today, at the end of the day, the judge said, well, we may be at the end of evidence early tomorrow, meaning today. And it was really unclear whether she meant, is the Commonwealth going to be done, or are we just, because of scheduling, going to run out of bodies? She was just letting the jury know possible we'll run out early. And we did. At 3:10, the Commonwealth rested, with the last witness being the girlfriend, the very good friend of Anna Walshe, Ms. Kirby, Alyssa Kirby. Interesting witness. Do you have any take on her?
Yes, I have an interesting witness, because she's a really good friend down in Washington of Anna Walshe. Okay, did not know about the affair, But the most interesting take I had on her, and at one point I actually texted it to you, and let me see if I could find my text to you. Okay.
You're going to reveal one of you.
Yeah, I'm going to reveal. I said, if I could, that Anna told her she wanted to be with Brian, okay, which is what the boyfriend also said, and that Brian was depressed, so that it was very hard for her at this time because Brian was under such of a mental health strain. All right, and I thought, well, you just gave Brian Walshe a mental health defense. You just told that he's under such strain. He's got problems with his mental health. I mean, why put him on the stand now? Why?
And
so
now
that was my big reveal.
And we'll see as we go through jury instructions and whether that becomes an issue, because the defense arguably now has the basis for an instruction. So we'll see if that happens. This woman, she obviously was very good friends with Anna. She broke down, she cried on the stand, and had to admit, though, although, clearly she favored Anna. Clearly she was not there to help Brian, whether she liked it or not. Some of the things she said did in fact help Brian, but that was not her goal. You could tell she was really upset about Anna. She's, if you were to actually have a conversation with her, I'm sure she believes Brian did this, and whatever she can do to help convict him, she'd be fine with that. I get that impression. I was sitting next to your new best friend up here, Barb, and soon as this was, I thought this was very interesting.
Hi, Barb.
Barb, she's in Hingham. She said she'd be watching, so there you go. And she said, I was going to ask her more about it, but she took off before the end of the day. But her gut reaction as Alyssa Kirby left was, she was, and I want to write down I think I actually wrote down the note, because I'm looking at it, I think, objectively, and saying, okay, she's good on this front, she's bad on that front.
Right, that's what I was doing.
Everything she is saying makes sense, considering who she is and who she knew. But I think I dropped my glasses. Oh, got it. No.
And she was good friends.
Nelly!
We're seeing the car.
Oh, the mobile studio is far too mobile today.
She was friends for only a couple months, but they developed this friendship, and you have to wonder why it was so close. Did she need somebody to talk to? Did Anna need somebody to talk to? But she was talking to her, and she also said she was very tired, and she looked very tired. Although that picture of the two of them that's shown at the end, Anna looked great. So. That's okay, Michael. I can fill in what I was going to say anyhow. When you
go ahead, keep going. I'm going to find my spot here.
I don't look great in that photograph. But what I don't get, and I also texted this to you, I said, I don't get this marriage. Okay, a lot of marriages, people having affairs. Obviously, it was revealed that she wasn't having sex with her husband for the past year because he was so depressed. So she found a new boyfriend that she really had a plan, but she really wasn't planning to be with him. She wanted to.
It was an odd plan.
She wanted to be with Brian and the kids. So there didn't seem to be any animosity. She wanted to be with Brian and the kids, but Anna didn't tell her about the affair. So there had to be a reason Anna was talking to her. And maybe Anna didn't view the affair as something that she revealed because it really didn't matter if it was. It was
like a fling. It was like a convenience. It was like physical necessity. Right. I do think, that 1, 3, 5, and 10-year plan, right, that the boyfriend talked about. Yeah. It never came to be for obvious reasons, but it may have been more his plan than her plan.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No. And so, and people do things. And she also said that Anna told her that Brian, that they had an open relationship. All right. Which I thought was also interesting.
Yeah. And I don't know. We didn't hear a definition for that. I mean, I think the common definition for open would mean multiple partners,
right?
But it also could just mean that they were open about, the relationships outside the marriage, non-sexual. I mean, just we didn't get it fleshed out. Nobody asked for a definition.
No one asked for a definition. Probably both sides were scared for a definition.
Yeah, and I would have objected to it. And I would have objected, unless you're going to get some sort of expert in there to tell us what that means, because I think it can mean a lot.
But it was really, really interesting. She wanted to look forward to being together. She wanted Brian to go to jail, do his time, and admit that he did wrong. Well, he had admitted he pled guilty, do his time, and they could all be together again. Hopefully, this time in Washington D.C. Because I gather she loved the job, but she wanted to be with the kids. But she was Brian was taking care of the kids during the week, but so they had this kind of thing worked out of some sort. So it's a different marriage than we think of. The guy who's going to the guy who's going to intentionally murder his wife. This was like she's explaining this, and it's a whole different relationship on her end.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. It does not sound like, oh no, I've been found out, and then he's out to get her. It just doesn't sound like that. Okay, I found my note from Barb's reference here to Ms. Kirby. I think she was a lousy witness. That's what she said.
On whose side, though? For the prosecution or for the defense?
Well, you know, I didn't get to flesh that out. So you have to assume, since she was a Commonwealth witness, that if somebody thinks they're a lousy witness, probably for the party that's putting her forth. Yeah. But I didn't ask that, to be all full disclosure. I didn't ask that follow-up question.
I thought that she was ended up being a good witness for the defense because she gave a mental health defense for him. I mean, that's really.
And she also didn't give anybody information about the revelation to Brian Walshe about what was going on, so that he could have a reason to be mad, a motive to be. You know, the judge even read an instruction to the jury, reminded them that any of these things you're hearing said about Anna Walshe goes to her state of mind, not for the truth of the matter, but her state of mind. And then the judge said, as it goes to motive and intent to kill. So it was a very clear instruction to this jury that this is what the Commonwealth needs to prove. And you have to look at this only for that state of mind purpose. So
I'm not sure that I really, you know, when I started this case, I thought for sure. My view was for sure first degree murder. How you don't cut up. You know, we've seen these cut up cases of wives, and you know, we have the Troconis, not the Troconis. Yeah, it was Michelle Troconis case in Massachusetts.
The missing body cases,
with the husband there, and also you and I come in with a bent, right? Or at least I came in with a bent that he's definitely guilty of first degree murder. I'm not so sure. I think he absolutely killed her. I'm not sure if it's second degree because maybe he learned of the affair, or she was beginning to fall out of love with him. Maybe she told him that, according to this witness, and then he got upset. But then that would lead to more manslaughter. That would mean more heat of passion. And you combine heat of passion with a mental health defense. You know, that's not going to get you first degree murder. I don't think.
I agree 100%. And excuse me while I use this to push a button.
I thought you were about to hit me over the head with it from afar.
Let's see. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I'm just trying to make sure the Starling doesn't die on us. Yeah, all of these things to me reinforced, if he did what he's accused of doing, it happened suddenly, heat of passion, a revelation about the boyfriend, a revelation about the master plan that we're going to get a divorce because I can't handle this travel, and your life is up in the air still, and you can't even, you know, we wanted it to be a year and we can suck it up for a year. Then he gets 37 months, you know. I'm no math major, but that's more than 3 years. So he's going to do just short of 3
years. This is an interesting comment. Okay. Pure Duckery says, I think the mother has something to do with the unaliving. I texted to you also. I thought, well, I didn't actually text you. I was on with you. Okay. At some point. And I put in the chat, I said, you know, if this were a movie script, what do you find now? Because apparently the mother, according to the testimony of Ms. Kirby, the mother saw a psychic who said that Anna was having an affair, took that to Brian. Brian took that to Anna. Brian told Anna that, oh, that's ridiculous. I don't believe that for a second that you're having an affair. That didn't come out of nowhere. Okay. You and I, in reality, the jury's not going to believe that came out of nowhere. Even the mother maybe the mother had more, but if this were a movie script, you'd say the mother killed Anna, right? And then Brian was covering up to save the mother. To protect
his mom.
To protect his mom, because they have a very weird relationship too.
There was, it's, and I did, as he left today,
in my opinion.
This hasn't always been the case, but as he left the courtroom today, as he clanked out, he gave a very distinct turn and nod to Mom. Not a smile, just like an acknowledgement, like glad you're here, you know.
Yeah.
There was one other thing about Mom that came up again. We've heard 2 things now about Mom's protectiveness of son, perhaps, and today we heard about the whole holding Jem's hand. Remember that when he was there in the federal court hearing, he's there and Anna's there. They're sitting together. He's holding her hand. And the belief was that Diana
Jem? Okay.
Jem is the person who ultimately hired Anna Walsh, brought her into this real estate world, and they became very close as both friends and professionals working together. But Brian was also a friend of his. And so it was kind of a weird relationship, the three of them. But they hung out together on New Year's Eve. He was the last one to see Anna alive, other than Bryant. So
Missy says we should play Jem leaving the courthouse.
That little clip. Let me finish this story first. It was so that was one moment where it looked like Diana Walsh was not happy with Anna because she was
Diana being the mom.
Brian's mom. She's not happy because he's holding hands with her in this federal hearing, right? Then we hear from Kirby that mom was not happy about, and I'm to remember the specific reference to it because there were a couple of different ones. Mom was not happy about her relationship with, the psychic said she was having an affair, right?
Fair,
and that's what we heard. But she also was very judgmental about Ms. Kirby talking about Anna and her with men. So mom, really, in these two witnesses' eyes, clearly was a little controlling with her son or protective of her son.
And is the psychic a PI, private investigator?
I don't know. I don't know.
We need a psychic to tell us, or a private investigator. Really. What are the two?
Really. So as Jem was leaving the courthouse, we all kind of queued up outside because he really was a very interesting witness, and he wanted more than anything to tell this jury that they had the Walshes had a troubled marriage. There were problems with the marriage. Objection, objection, objection. He was basically giving his opinion based on what Anna had told him, although he could not remember her exact words. Well, when the only thing admissible to her state of mind are the exact words, you better know the damn exact words. And he kept throwing in his own interpretation. And ultimately, on redirect, prosecution kind of gave up. Greg Connor said, if you don't remember the exact words, fine. And he said, no, I don't remember those words. So, but the jury's already heard marital problems over and over between the witness saying it and the judge telling them to ignore it. So,
and then you have the testimony from both the other day and the testimony from Kirby today that she wanted to be with him. So she loved him. She loved him. She had no intention of breaking up with Brian Walsh.
It makes no sense if you follow the prosecution's theory. And that's why, even though there was a motion for directed verdict, as of course there always is, after the close of testimony for the state, when they rest, you pop up with your motion for directed verdict. They changed the name of that here. I wrote it down because it's so ridiculous. Only in Massachusetts would they make it more complex. Let me see if I can find it here. I had to write it down because I said there's no way I'm not gonna memorize this long, drawn out, ridiculous name for it. Okay, now it's called, used to be directed verdict, and that's where it is most everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Now it is a requested finding of not guilty.
A requested finding of not guilty. Well, that makes more sense.
But so out the window is directed verdict. Okay, so now as for Jem, Mutlu.
We called him Muddy. We called him Muddy in our thing. He's known as for Muddy's here, but his name is Mutlu.
He's a Turkish guy. Interesting name. Very successful.
Very handsome. Very debonair in a Sean Connery-like way.
When he stood up, he looked very different than when you just see his head sitting there, head and shoulders, and he was not like really tall, but very thin, I thought, compared to how he looked just as a head sitting on some shoulders. So as he's about ready to get out, I and a few colleagues here go downstairs to meet him at the base of the courthouse steps, and Missy wants to show you what happened at that point.
Okay. Oh, look at those steps. Again.
Yes, we've seen him many times.
Jeff, you want to stop and just say a couple words?
What is it you wanted the court to know? Why do you think there were marital problems?
How hard was today? What are your thoughts on Brian Walsh? Do you think he killed her?
Excuse me.
Was it hard being in there with Mr. Walsh today?
I'm sorry, I need to go. Thank you very much. Thanks.
better watch out. He could get arrested here for jaywalking. Do that against the light. He crosses. He had to get the hell out of there. I mean, I don't blame the guy.
I have another viewpoint. I don't know whether she released him off a subpoena. Okay. When he finished testifying, do you know that? Did she release him off a subpoena?
Well, they aren't very formal about it. You know, they basically say, you know, any further questions, and then they say you're excused. So that could be interpreted to be released from the subpoena.
But my point is, you see, Massachusetts, all of you journalists who are putting microphones in people's mouth and asking for comments and did you think he'd do it, blah 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 blah. In Massachusetts, you could be accused, all of you, the whole group of you who are doing the First Amendment, of witness intimidation by asking a question. It's so stupid.
Well, luckily, I don't think we hurt his feelings, so he's
Never
good.
know.
He's good.
Never know.
Yeah,
maybe
never know. Could we have the video, so who knows? Anyway, so that was an interesting punctuation to the day. Obviously, the Commonwealth thought Ms. Kirby was the big finish, right? And so,
and they grouped about muddy, and
yes,
and I'm calling them muddy because that's what we've named.
And again, if you think about it in that context, it still leaves me wanting more to get to intent to commit murder.
Unless the Commonwealth are going to say it could happen at, it's one of the murder, the intent to kill can happen at a last second. Okay. I intend to kill, as opposed to, I pushed her and she fell. She's not in her pajamas. So what was it? She leaving the house? I mean, remember, they didn't find her. They found her purse. Why would he throw away her purse? Well, he had to actually, if he was going to say that she left, right? If he was going to then do a story that she left, as opposed to saying that she, rolled over and died in her bed and she was in her pajamas. They didn't find her body, so we don't, So if he testifies, they get to ask where her body is, right?
Sure, of course.
And what did he say? I don't know.
I know what I blacked it out. I mean, what would you say? So I think in part because it's always dicey to put him on, but more so because the Commonwealth, I think, has major holes in the case, and that his testifying can do nothing but help them fill those holes.
For intent.
Yes.
Yeah, for intent.
So it's is he gonna win the day? Is he gonna pull a Nick Casotis, where it looked like he was gonna sit and keep his mouth shut, and then at the last minute his attorney Doug Weinstein learned otherwise and he sunk his own battleship? It could happen. Ultimately it's his decision.
I think I called Doug Weintraub today. It's like I had a glitch. My brain had a glitch, Doug Weinstein. Doug did such a great job getting to lesser included or possible not guilty. Maybe we didn't think not guilty, but lesser included. Then the defendant got on the stand. And when the defendants take the stand, the case comes down to them. And I just don't think he's going to make a good witness with this. I mean, it's really interesting because he's got such a strange affect. In court, he's kind of smiling, right? When he's in those videos. I don't know if it was your favorite store. Was it Home Depot or Lowe's?
Might have been Home Goods.
Or Home Goods, where he's looks at his smiles, fixes his hair. But he's got a child with him as he's buying the supplies to cover the smell of wherever the body has been before he got rid of it. And also, what was the most important crucial evidence was found near his mom's dumpster. So that's why I say if you were writing a screenplay here, you'd be talking about mom even more. Not that she did anything, but you'd be talking about her more because it'd make it intriguing as a fictional screenplay.
And he feels some sort of protective quality so let me spread some of this around moms because I know she'll protect me and keep me out of trouble.
And she obviously, obviously she said it was a psychic. Was it a PI?
The psychic. Yeah, that I didn't have psychic.
You just psychic on your bingo card.
In. Yeah, I didn't have that. Wasn't thinking that was coming up, but it's a nice little wrinkle. Very interesting. She's a very interesting person. I could just tell. I could see.
But it was Kirby. It was Kirby relating double hearsay. It was Kirby relating the hearsay that Anna Walsh told her that supposedly Bryant Walsh told her. Right. It was, I'm sure there were pretrial motions on that, but it was.
Oh, I'm sure.
What we call double hearsay, and
so you have to attack each level of hearsay to get it in.
Right. Yeah.
So, and again, it had nothing to do with the truth of the matter. Do we care if she went to a psychic? No. That would be the truth of the matter. You're not using it for that.
I have a lot of friends who go to psychics. They have
Well,
Hollywood. When I read articles about Hollywood, they all have psychics.
Yeah, I don't mean I'm putting it down like, oh, we
No,
don't care. No, I
right.
mean it's not for the matter asserted. I went to a psychic. I don't care if you went or not. That's not what we're using that statement for. So
Right.
it can come in. It's a non-hearsay purpose. So the psychic tells Brian Walsh's mom that Anna's having an affair. Brian Walsh's mom tells Brian, and there's your chain.
Well, I wouldn't call him, given all what happened today. I mean, we're still iffy whether they were going to call him. Given what happened today, I'd rest my case. If I'm
I
you
don't
already
disagree.
you already have that people can die in their sleep unexpectedly. Kirby gave you how tired she was, right? How although she didn't look tired in the picture.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And there was another reference. This came up on Cross. Remember, we heard early on that on the 27th, and I can't remember the witness who gave this testimony. On the 27th of December, she was not feeling well, whatever that means.
Right. Kirby said that she was not feeling well.
Kirby gave us another date for that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, on the 20th, they were going to go out. Remember, they finally arranged to go out on the 29th, and they were out karaoke, blah, blah, blah. Right. Originally, they were going on the 20th, but they had to cancel. Why? Because Anna felt sick.
So, and that goes back to the opening statements about that there was COVID hanging around, that she had been sick, blah, blah, blah. So I guess if you want to call a forensic pathologist and you want to call Dr. Banerjee, who's been on our show, you could say we should go into more of the reasons of somebody could look like that. But then the prosecution gets to do, but you didn't know that did you know that the hacksaw that he used with his DNA and her had been found by, did you know that, you get to go through all those facts. And I just don't think that's a good thing.
They do get to reinforce a lot of the bad.
Right.
So, up until today, I would have said more likely than not he'll take the stand, and now I say more likely than not he will not. Still could happen, but today again, you're in a tough spot as the defendant here because it's such a horrific act or two that you have admitted to. Right. And the jury is just hoping to link it up, and we will never know what's going on in their brain pans when they come to that conclusion. Right. But I do think at least it opens up the possibility of a hung jury, because if there's a person that says, I don't see it. And if he takes a stand, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, just him trying to explain away how he did it, where the body is with the kids. How'd you bring the kids? I mean, now, the defense attorney can argue, well, he always had the kids. He brought them everywhere. It'd be strange to, what do you do? Leave them at home? When he goes shopping?
And he wasn't buying things that were specific, that the kids could understand were specific. They will know when they grow up later on. But you never know. By the way, who has the children now? It's one question. They're in foster care, from what we understand. The real question is, whether they're split up, which is certainly more likely than not. I mean, foster family taking 3 kids 2 years each apart. I think they're now 4, 6, and 8. Oh my gosh, breaks my heart. Yeah, it's there's nothing good about that whole situation. Kids are always the victims, aren't they? In every case we look at, the children are always the victims, no matter what. Yeah. Oh my gosh, some lawyers on the show will be asked. He knows where the body is. Yeah, of course, everything is open. Once he takes a stand, it's all open. I mean, he's waived his Fifth Amendment privilege. It is open. I just don't. I think after today, you've got look. If you were Larry Tipton, who's an excellent defense attorney, right? If you were Larry Tipton, you couldn't believe that his mental health and the talking about how bad his mental health was and how depressed he was and how it's been terrible for his mental health for a year. You couldn't believe that was coming in. You really couldn't. Okay, the way it came in, it just couldn't. The one thing to the end that he did log on with him, she was falling out of love with him. I thought that was the one statement that hurt him from Kirby, because that gave motive for him killing her, as opposed to, I still was going to stay with him. I'm still was going to stay with him, and then I'm falling out of love with him. But then, how close was Kirby when she didn't even know? When Anna didn't even share with her that she was having. That was the one statement I thought kind of slipped in, during a kind of a long rambling answer that might have been better. Corralled to either make a bigger impression,
or to diffuse it if you're on the defense. But yeah, that just kind of like slipped in there, because everything else you hear, to me, what was causing her the biggest problem was being apart from the kids and having to travel back and forth. Obviously, making that worse is because Brian's issues with the federal charges meant he couldn't move.
Right.
So it sounded like it was all a culmination of that frustration rather than we're having a fight here.
And because his mental health was bad, they couldn't have sexual relations, and so she sought comfort outside the marriage. Not unusual. I mean, we don't judge people. It's not unusual. Apparently, they had an open marriage. Who knows what happened in the marriage previously with him and her? Who knows? And who cares? Quite frankly, it only is relevant as it goes to motive. And if it's a relationship that she didn't think very much of, I mean, then maybe he didn't think very much of it if he found out.
Exactly. And maybe, we don't know this, maybe there's some history in which that's happened before.
We have no idea.
We have no idea. He was not a jealous guy, according to the witness testimony. He wasn't. Anna wishes he was more jealous. So
yeah.
So who else might you put on tomorrow if you don't put on the defendant and you're hesitant to put on medical examiner because of the way it opens up a lot of things? You would just do nothing. You would just rest.
I'd rest. I'd rest at this point.
Well, we're going to find out pretty early in the morning. That makes it very interesting. My timing is either very good or very bad. It was good to be here when the Commonwealth closed, and I think the witnesses today were very important. But if there's resting tomorrow by the defense, then they immediately move into instruction conference.
Right.
And they haven't really had any downtime to do it during the course of the trial. So that would eat up a chunk of tomorrow. I mean, they could have closings on Friday.
They could have closed, right. And it would be too bad if you're not there for
well, I'm somewhat adjustable. I'm flexible a little bit, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and so I don't know. So, but even if they do have one witness tomorrow, they still may have the charge conference and closings on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Although this judge seems like she likes to give the attorneys time to get everything ready. Okay, and maybe closings be Monday, but then you're getting closer and closer to Christmas. Now, let me tell you, as Hanukkah is what next
Hanukkah's
Tuesday,
coming up, right? Yeah,
Tuesday, and by the end of the week, all the courts are closed. She also may want to move it to get closer to Christmas. But if you're a defense attorney, you want that jury deliberating as close to the holiday.
You want them to get the hell out.
Right.
Yeah. It's a Friday verdict on steroids. And so remember, we disagreed with the judge last week, and we know nothing about the estimate of time. But last Friday, she said 2 more weeks. And here we are 3 days into the first of those 2 weeks, and the Commonwealth's done. There's not a chance in hell it's going another 7 court days. No way.
No, except that I think maybe she was telling that's going to be the outside limits, right?
Well, I know, as we said, you'd much rather give them a longer period of time and then reward them with a shorter period of time than the opposite.
Yeah.
So especially as you get near the holidays, people just, this is not where they want to be.
Okay. So what was the most important moment to you, Michael Bryant, in the courtroom for the prosecution? Then I'm going to flip the question to you. What was the most important moment in the courtroom to you for the defense today? And then let's take it for the whole trial. Okay.
For the prosecution, and it may boil down to the same answer in terms of for the whole trial, but for the prosecution, I think that Jem Muddy,
as we're calling him.
Muddy. He, I think, almost as much because of what he wasn't able to say as to what he was able to say, because getting into his impressions that there was discord is critical. If you're going to buy the motive at all that Brian Walshe wanted her gone because of whatever marital problems there were, only Jem hung that out there for the jury, even though told not to get into it, even though it was stricken. The jury heard about it. They may be dying to know exactly what the basis for it's his opinion. His interpretation might be. They'll never find out, but it's a pretty big matzo ball hanging in there over the jury when they start to think about why would Brian Walshe kill Anna? Well, Jem said there were some marital problems. So I think that was key for the prosecution.
And for the defense, the most important moment.
then I think we got to look at Kirby because she diffused, if she's such a good friend, as it seems she was, it was diffused that even she knew there was an affair. And if she didn't know, what's the likelihood, I'm going to sound sexist here and I can't reach my Fonnie Willis button, but girls talk, girlfriends talk. And if she didn't know, what are the odds that the husband knew? I just think that that's less likely if the girlfriend doesn't know and if the girlfriend's not a conduit. So I think it's helpful that it wasn't widely known in the tight circle that we've heard from, Jim and now Kirby, wasn't widely known there was an affair. And if that's true, less likely he knew. And if that's true, where's the motive to find intent? And I know we don't need motive. People start going, you don't need motive. No, you don't. But it's one way to get to intent. And in the absence of many other factors, you got to go with what you got. And I don't see motive.
Yeah, and I see the other thing. The problem prosecution has is he didn't start buying all these cleaning fluids and doing these searches, which are really like a stupid criminal, right? Until after she would have been dead, according to the timeline of the prosecution. Now, if you had planned to kill somebody, you'd have all that lined up. You wouldn't wait, until, he was searching literally, had to make the body not smell, but she was dead by then.
all of that fits the defense admission, all of that. Maybe you disagree, can't understand how somebody in that scenario could freak out to the point they think the best thing to do rather than to call 911 is to figure out how to get rid of the body. I get it.
That goes to intent. That goes to the intent to cover up and the intent to
it's
cover
a consciousness of guilt. Sure.
Consciousness of guilt. Right.
And the jury's allowed to make that inference. They can. And if they do, not much you can do about it. That's their brain pan working, and we don't get to know how they got there. That would be, of course, the basis for the appeal, but that's the same reason they did the motion to dismiss. It's all going to be for the basis of an appeal. So,
anyhow, but she has a great defense team. I think Larry Tipton was terrific for him.
I think that Miss Porges was good today too.
Yeah, and and the jury has to like them. See, what people don't understand is having a likable lawyer for the defense is very important, because the jury may say, one of my friends who was a former prosecutor said he had a client who was convicted, but when he went out, the jury told him, it was hard to really convict because we liked you so much, so much, and it's true. If there's that hedge point, they may say, well, you know what? The lawyer didn't, he was pretty good. He treated people with respect. He gave us a lot of information, and now it's for us to decide, and we don't know what the charges are going to be yet. We don't know if
that's another issue.
Manslaughter.
I just keep going toward a heat of passion event that took place after all was revealed. It was a new year. Let's start with a clean slate, honey. Here's what's happening. And then things spiraled out of control.
Right. And things got people. And we've seen that. Look, we watch TV shows where somebody pushes somebody in a fight, and then all of a sudden they're dead and they don't know what to do. Right.
Yeah.
And then you've got the kids who are sleeping in the house over here. I'm like, God, what do I do? So I have gone from the plan to kill her to some type of heat of passion homicide. I just don't know what. So let's have a poll though. What's your favorite store that's mentioned in here? We have TJ Maxx, we have Home Goods, we have Lowe's, and we have Home Depot.
And we have Marshalls too, I think. We
have Marshalls too. Yeah. So, but we could put that all up. What is your favorite store? I don't know if we can do that in a poll and see if it comes out. As to what my favorite store would be. It'd be real tough between, because the Home Goods, the parent company owns Home Goods, owns TJ Maxx. Right. I love Home Goods. The one in Seekonk is the master is the store. Where everything is. TJ Maxx to me depends on what store it's at. Like the one in New York City to me is not that great. The one down at the Jersey, the one up in Massachusetts where I had a house was fabulous. Again, maybe because they're based in Seekonk and the master store is based in Seekonk. So you're a man.
I love those stores. Oh, I love them, and I've described them.
What's your favorite? What's your favorite? I added Lowe's and Home Depot.
And I talked about this today. I would go to Lowe's instead of Home Depot if it were more convenient, because I think they're always cleaner. The arrangement of the goods is more logical and spacious. Sometimes Home Depots get a little, they feel like they're putting too much in there. But Home Depot's closest to my house. And as I've said, if I don't go there every couple of days, they call my house looking for me.
See if you're okay.
Is everything all right?
I love the Home Goods of Seekonk. I don't know if I told you the story at that point.
I like the Home Goods.
I owned a Porsche convertible, a 4-seater, and I went down there to look for Halloween goods, and I found a plastic, the skeleton, the styrofoam, and how do I get it home? I'm carrying it to the car. I've got a convertible. I can open the top. Well, it bent at the middle, so I bent it and I put it in the front seat and I strapped him into the seatbelt, and that's how I got. So I'm driving down.
Nice.
I'm driving down I-95 to get to to where I was, and like people are beeping at me, waving. I'm driving with a skeleton at my.
You could have gotten in the carpool lane, perhaps, with that. Maybe.
I think everyone was driving away from me. They weren't sure it was. They knew it was fake, but it was really funny at the time that it happened because I didn't think it would cause such a hubbub.
It's so funny. I'm sure somebody was recording that on their phone.
Probably.
I like, we talk about the other stores, Home Goods, TJ Maxx, Marshalls. I like Home Goods hands down. First of all, it's not clothing for the most part, so I'm not. But the TJ Maxx, it seems to me, and Marshalls, they're just messy all the time. It looks like somebody's been through there just rifling through clothes, And if you really want to find something,
rifling through clothes.
I know, but like it's a yard sale. And so if you're looking for a particular size, do not worry about what size is on the rack, because that stuff's been moved around. Oh, here's a medium in the XXL. So it's an adventure, but I just don't like the sloppiness of it. I do like that corner. Usually when you go in, it's the hard right. So it's even with the register area, but it's the hard right corner, and it's like a hodgepodge of stuff. There'll be like some sort of bar decoration, a decanter, some belts. I mean, it's just a weird mix. Sometimes you find some little treasures there.
Well, of course, you can't get out of TJ Maxx without talking about the aisle where you check out, where you go in for one thing. And I found my $9.99 great T-shirt that I wanted. That's a Cheerios on it, which somebody stole, by the way, afterwards. But you go down the aisle, and all of a sudden you come out and you're $169 because you picked up all that crap going down.
Oh, they're not stupid.
Good. This looks great. Oh, maybe this.
Yep. So. That's as we used to call that. That's a POP material, POP material, point of purchase. And that's the idea of by putting all that stuff right in front of your face. And in most cases, I think they control the flow of the line because, they've got the numbers up there, register 8, register 8. And then you go, I think they limit how many there are to give you a few more people stacked up in line. So you'll spend more time in line buying those things you don't need.
That's what happens. You buy all these things you don't need. Then you get home like, I can't go drive.
Why did I get this? I got this weird popcorn flavor something. Yeah, no, I've been a victim. I've been sucked in.
We all have, and we all still want
everybody
it. I mean,
has.
Everybody. What's their favorite store, right? And then TJ Maxx is right up there because Home Goods is not as accessible. There's not that many of them around, but TJ Maxx and Marshalls are right up there. Oh my gosh, somebody rides at the Pelican of a passenger seat. Don't be mad. I love that, So it's Massachusetts, by the way. The closings will only be an hour when they do close. They'll be limited to that.
And I think that's fine.
The trial is, as we know.
The openings were 20 to 25 minutes each. So, it's no Joe Tacopina here. This is not going to be Joe Tacopina, ASAP Rocky.
We're waiting. Let's take another picture, Missy. Okay, we have to grab that picture because there he is again, looking very debonair, right? I think we should take a second one because this is what happens, and maybe we should send it to Elon Musk about Starlink, breaking up with us. But so he's about to say Joe Tacopina 5.5 hours. I'm surprised he didn't say Linda Kenny Baden's 6-hour closing. But there we go. So I won't give him the opportunity. Instead, I will say we want to thank you for joining us. We want you to hit that subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button, please. We've been stopped on subscribing. It's just a little bit slow. I think it's everybody, but it's also we think that sometimes YouTube does that. The like, the share, the notify. And if you can become a member, please do. As we did members only tapings of shows earlier today. We're going to try that out, see how that works, see how you like it, and all. We'll go from there. But in lieu of Michael Bryant saying it, I'm going to say, I'm Linda Kenny Baden. That was Michael Bryant. This is Justice Served TV. Try to do the right thing, and we will see you tomorrow morning. At least Michael Bryant's going to be streaming from the courthouse at 9. He'll see you for the lunch hour questions, and then we'll see you for the main show at 6 o'clock. Have a great Wednesday evening.
From the sky.